E4, D4, very aggressive. I think we've played against this before, though. Just start chasing the queen around. Our opponent is being very aggressive here. So how straightforward do we want to be about this? We can do knight here, but that cuts off defense on this square, but I mean, that's sort of where he's going this way. Let's do this up, I think. Okay, so now he's getting that bishop out. Let's do this bishop just here to kind of delay any sort of madness. He may be going for a push here. Takes, 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 takes. So maybe queen up is the best move to start with here. That way we got another firing piece on the center. Let's do that. Okay, he does the dramatic bishop move. We're fine with the dramatic bishop move. He brings his other knight out. We will castle, I believe, is the best stance there. This space is vulnerable right now. I guess the question is, do we sacrifice the bishop here? Bishop up, pawn takes. Queen takes, pawn check, maybe? That'd be kind of funny. Yeah, let's think about it. So yeah, this pawn's vulnerable, so we can do queen takes, pawn check, assuming he doesn't move his king. Queen takes, pawn check. He can block it, or he can move his king. This spot is obviously vulnerable. I think queen takes pawn is nice, though. Let's try this and see what happens. Well, no, the big issue with this, we go up here, queen takes pawn. He moves his king this way, and then rook comes over check. So we don't want that. And obviously his queen can come down now. So if we do pawn up, if he does a mad trade, we're fine. So let's do pawn up. Okay, bishop falls back. Now we can get our knight out. Again, this pawn is free at the moment. He does the bishop trade. Sure. I'll repeat, this pawn is still free. But now from two different directions. You could do something like bishop down here. At which point I think we go knight up. He had to do the trade because otherwise his queen would be trapped if the bishop was on this square. Okay, pushes the pawn forward. We still do... I think we still do the knight move. It'll force his queen off of guarding these squares. Okay, so he wants to take my queen, but now we also get a rook out of this if he lets it go. So... thanks. And now we just take this pawn unless he's going to bring the bishop down. He brings the bishop for the other rook. At which point we just slide the rook over and it's fine. Okay, so he's playing super guard here. I think at this point we suicide our bishop. Get his knight off the board because his knight is the big threat here. We could also do rook up. Maybe rook up is better first. We don't necessarily, I mean... maybe we want the knight to move. Okay, let's do the rook up. What a weird game this is. Obviously there's a knight fork here, but we're fine losing the bishop for the bishop. If he runs his bishop, then we will suicide. You could do something fun here, like bring this rook over. Okay, so he backs the bishop up. Do we suicide here, or do we take the pawn first? I think this pawn is always going to be an annoyance. And now that he's got the bishop here, he's stopping the fork. Let's take the knight off the board. He can still castle. I think he's got to do that at this point, but then we get our knight out. Or we sacrifice the knight to get rid of the bishop, which I think may actually be the better move. Because if he castles, he's got this column, which is dangerous for us. Wow. Or he can do that. So maybe we just do knight takes pawn. Now we kill the bishop, right? Or do we just do another check? Another check's pretty good. But then he just backs the bishop up. So kill the bishop. Kill the pawn. Rook over's next. That was an interesting move. He's going to lose his rook now. And now we basically win. So now we do this. And he surrenders because we were taking this time. Obviously we were taking too long there, but we had the time. I was figuring we'd go rook over 1 just to make sure this pawn was safe. There was no way any of his exchanges were going to help him. It'd take him far too long, and we've got at least one passed pawn, if not eventually 2. Okay. So yeah, that was a good lesson about surviving aggression. Just because in these situations where the queen is going wild, it can be dangerous to just kind of lose your mind a little bit. Looks as though the computer wanted us to actually do f3 here. At which point, the queen would have gone insane. Queen would have run back, and then we just kind of would leave the queen there for a while. I'm surprised that they consider bishop f3 to be a mistake. Obviously, it blocks your knight's development, but I liked this defensive nature we kind of set up here. It shut down the queen a little bit, and we see that they're racking up some blunders here because they wanted more development, essentially. So they do this when the computer wanted just e5. They didn't like d3. They wanted bishop. Oh, sure, fair enough. I'm a little embarrassed I missed that, actually, but I was focused on having a nice locked down center area. Ooh, that's kind of exciting. So we take there. Computer says here. Queen out, and then just give up the rook. Very exciting. What a wild game. All right. So f6 they didn't like. They did not like h3 once again. So all of our blunders, and we have 4 of them, are all because we missed this. That's it. Which admittedly, you know, we shouldn't have. But we were focused on our side. We were being ultra defensive. I was barely looking past this rank because I was like, okay, let's lock up. He's overcommitting into this. Whatever. So all of these moves are bad in the context of we're not taking this pawn. So yeah, literally every single one of my blunders is because they want bishop b7. So let's ignore that and head up here. E5. They wanted to move the queen because obviously this loses the rook, and our opponent must have missed that. And then the game is just the game. Not really too much else to say about it. I kind of wish... I hate these games where there is one good move that you missed, and the computer won't stop telling you about it, because it clogs up other sorts of analysis. But it is what it is.